Coming up, look at this. These are some of the high-powered guns Grand Bahama police confiscated yesterday. And yet another young man killed on the streets of the capital.
Firemen on the scene of a fire on Carmichael Road. The details ahead.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
Good evening, everyone. I'm LeDaunne Davis. Thanks so much for tuning in. Topping the news tonight, police over in Grand Bahama have uncovered a quantity of high-powered firearms and ammunition. Senior Assistant Commissioner of Police Emerick Seymour revealed during a press conference on Saturday that it all unfolded following a routine traffic stop in the Freeport area. He credits good police work for this significant discovery.
Officers were able to, after being so alert, and of course, paying attention to the details that they were trained to do, were able to arrest an individual for the discovery of an illegal firearm. It didn't stop there, because the continuing efforts of the police would have resulted in additional firearms being confiscated by the police. They would have executed on the home of this individual, and as a result would have uncovered a number of firearms and associated ammunitions of various sorts.
Meanwhile, several persons have been taken into custody, and Seymour says police are now reaching out to a United States law enforcement agency to assist with this investigation.
It's a blow to the whole firearm trafficking operation that you heard us speak about from time to time. And so we were able also to arrest 3 individuals, 3 Freeport residents as a result. And so the investigation as I speak now is ongoing. We are continuing with additional searches. And so that is as much information as I can give you at the moment. This investigation, because of the seriousness and because of the significance of it, we are being assisted by our counterparts, our ATF counterparts from the United States, and of course our local firearm and tracing unit out of New Providence. And so we will work well into the night on this significant discovery and find, and of course, as the situation develops.
Back here in the Capitol, police also had their hands busy with yet another murder, this time in the area of Plantal Street off East Street around 10:30 last night. Head of the Central Detective Unit, Chief Superintendent Paul Rolle, said patrolling officers in the area heard a burst of gunshots. Those officers then proceeded to Irish Spring Court off John Chipman Road, formerly named Plantal Street.
They got in that area, discovered a male lying next to a silver Nissan Sentra. Our preliminary information is that this individual had gone to a resident to transact some business, and while there he was accosted by 2 males who produced firearms and discharged several shots in his direction. He was struck to the upper body, where he collapsed and was pronounced dead here on the scene by EMS. We received information of a white old model Honda Accord that the persons may have left this area in, and so we appeal to anyone who would have any information on this latest homicide to reach out to us, help us to advance this investigation here this evening.
This marks the 12th homicide for the year. At this time last year, there were 13 murders. In 2015, a record 149 murders were recorded. In other news, officials of the Trafficking in Persons Committee made their way through the Bain community, bringing awareness to the issue on Saturday. Deputy Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security and Chairperson of the committee, Karen Rigby, told ZNS News that the walkabout was in an effort to make more persons aware of what human trafficking entails. The pamphlets they handed out to residents and motorists clearly outlined how trafficking in persons happens, its causes and effects, as well as the business of child trafficking, profiles of the trafficker and the victims.
Most persons are not aware of trafficking in persons. They know of human smuggling, but in addition to human smuggling, we also have trafficking in persons going on in the country. And this is our third community we've been through into Montel Heights and Nassau Village. And we'll be going into all of the vulnerable communities and various neighborhoods to talk about trafficking in persons. We have a plan that we're working to, and it has all of the communities in New Providence, and we will also branch into the Family Islands, so we're doing them one at a time.
Rigby said other communities they plan to visit are Grantstown, Centerville, and Angliston. Officer in charge of the Baintown Urban Renewal ASP Anthony Rolle said officers were happy to partner with the committee on such an important topic.
We sort of need to come out and participate with them so that we could bring educational awareness to the persons in this community. Because even me, reading the pamphlets, there are some things that I'm seeing that I'm not familiar with. So I'm happy to bring the educational aspect of this to this community.
Firemen were busy here in the capital on this windy and rainy Sunday, and as Jimenita Swain reports, fire officials responded to 2 fires early this morning.
Firemen were still combing the charred shell of an abandoned building on Carmichael Road that caught fire Sunday morning. 3 fire trucks were on the scene, and several firemen were still sifting through the building and putting out any lingering fires when ZNS News arrived. Sergeant Anthony Mitchell said the call came in reporting the fire after 8 a.m.
The first unit arrived on the scene. That was from Cable Beach. We met the building in the free burning stage, but it was an abandoned structure that was being used at first for building supply. Due to the wind factor, we had to use an additional unit to protect the exposures around the structure. And it took us about 45 minutes really to gain the upper hand on the blaze.
Now, Carmichael Road was not the only scene that fire officials found themselves at.
Fire Services Chief Walter Evans said another fire was reported after 1 Sunday morning on North Mount Royal Avenue.
The first unit arrived just about 3 minutes after receiving the call. We met a single-story wooden structure heavily involved with flames. The flames were blowing in the direction of a building which is on the southern side, which is a 2-story structure. We had some deep issues, and we know that that building was a major threat, and so all of the units were called out for this fire, and we were able to extinguish the fire.
Evans said officials from the Bahamas Electricity Corporation were contacted to disconnect the power supply as they battled the blaze. Thankfully, no one was injured in either of the fires. However, damage was evident at the neighboring Equity House, which bordered the building at Mount Royal Avenue. The fire chief also had this warning.
Wind is one of those factors that really fuels and gives fire energy. We are asking the public that if they see any fire, anything that happens within their neighborhood, within their community, to call us right away. It is imperative that we respond very quickly and to be very efficient in what we do. We want to do that because there is a threat to nearby facilities, as we've seen here at Hawkins Hill, and then the fire that we had, which took place early this morning. And so it means that the fire services will have to ramp up its response level. We are prepared to do that.
Now, officials are not sure what caused the blaze, but investigations are ongoing. Jimenita Swain, ZNS Network News.
And still to come, Mayaguana residents getting some much-needed medical attention. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight, the weekend edition.